Hello, poetry lovers. The video tonight shows the creation of a new poem titled Jaywalker. Stick around to the end of the video to see the complete first draft of this new poem. This poem is a bit of a throwback for me. In graduate school, I wrote several poems in which I wrote multiple disconnected stanzas that all revolved around a central image or idea. I really liked this form and still feel that some of the best poetry I've ever written followed this format. And as I was driving around on this morning, running with my kids to multiple different appointments, I saw a couple things on my drive that suddenly inspired a new concept for a poem. I literally had the sensation of fireworks exploding in my mind as the entire poem took shape over the course of a couple minutes. So I rushed home and sat down to write. I think this detailed inspiration can happen for a couple reasons, and the first is just sheer luck. Sometimes creative people just have these exciting ideas that come to them fully formed, but most often, I think there's more to it than that. This week, on my social media accounts, I've been sharing poetry tips that give a brief glimpse into a variety of poetic devices, and this has me thinking poetically in a way that has been hard to come by for a long time. I've been making space in my brain for poetry and shoving less interesting things like meal plans and laundry status aside to accommodate that. I've also recently been able to start reading more than I have in the past several years. As my kids were smaller, reading time was really hard to come by, but as they get older, I'm more and more able to shift my attention to reading literature again, and that really helps with creative invention. So as you saw, I started writing eagerly and quickly. I grabbed my thesaurus a couple times during the writing process to help pick a word, since I find that when I'm debating between multiple wording options, seeing them in writing can help quickly make a decision. I wrote multiple stanzas, each about a different topic. During each one, I focused on developing the image central to that stanza, and when I finished a stanza, I drew a horizontal line to demarcate it clearly from the next. This is a strategy I've used before, and the goal here is to help the reader have a significant mental break between stanzas. This helps each stanza stand completely alone, and I think that separation can increase the sense of satisfaction that may come when the poem is complete and all the threads come together. As I came to the last stanza, I had some more challenging work to do. First, I was uncertain if this even would be the last, and I debated for a moment whether to add another stanza. But I soon decided to just proceed with writing the idea that I had, knowing that with this kind of fractured structure, I could easily draft another stanza later on and add it anywhere in the poem I wanted. But as I turned to dealing with this last image, I knew that I needed to convey something thematic without becoming too heavy-handed. An additional challenge was that the theme of this poem is about a sort of ambiguity. I wanted the reader to feel the pull of both good and bad, of both cost and benefit on the situations I described. I wanted to do that without suggesting a resolution, since the point of the poem revolves around the difficulty of resolution. So as I ended the poem, I turned the attention inwardly, directing the phrasing toward myself and finishing with an open-ended question that could be understood in a couple different ways. Turning this attention inwardly also allowed me to begin to use some second-person phrasing, the word you, and that allows it to sound as though it's written directly to the reader as well as being directed toward myself. This was a fun poem to write, and I'm so happy I had margin on this morning to get these words on the page. I think parts of this could benefit from some tweaking, but here is the first draft of Jaywalker, written in about 28 minutes on March 22nd, 2024. Jaywalker. I have to slam the brakes. As he crosses catty corner, I can see only his blue, battered jacket, only his stretched black beanie and the cusp of craggy beard blown white to his shoulder. We freeze, partway between appointment A and obligation B. I'm rushing, but not as much as my pulse, my own mind. The oncoming cars slow, stop. He proceeds. Imagine a life so fractured from concern for man's laws. Imagine such poverty, such freedom. Early today, in the suddenly tall clover and creeping thyme, the jay buried his hue beneath emerald, cream, lavender, signaling he existed only by stirring his surroundings. Until, at once, he flashed his blazing body skyward, alighted on the oak's knottiest branch, the bluest thing in a clouded dawn. As I walk, my dog runs ahead, his sleek black body like a streak of pure joy on the prairie's skin, until I see the frisbee golfers far ahead and call him close. He sits as I clip a short leash. He walks calmly, restraining his own body, and I can never name nor justify my anger. I perform my good dog owner role. Not long after I left him, I saw her black and white body curled by the curb, so close to home. Little Jaywalker, softer now than ever. I point my child's eyes to an interesting car on the other side, but my gaze lingers, bearing witness, wondering what, my heart, would you lose to once clasp hands with perfect liberty. Thanks for watching this episode of Ars Poeticat. If you enjoyed watching poetry happen, please like and subscribe. Then go make some art.